Cassie told the jury that the Freakoffs made her feel disgusting and humiliated and worthless.
She did say these Freakoffs lasted between 1 and 4 days, and it would take her an equal amount of time to get her body recovered, to rehydrate, to rest.
I think we're going to learn a lot about the nature of Cassie's relationship with Diddy.
Cassie Ventura just named Christina Korm as keeping tabs on her for Diddy.
The second thing that was discussed this morning, will the media be able to see video of these freak-offs?
Day 2 of Diddy's courtroom chaos just wrapped up, and Cassie's testimony left the entire room stunned. She revealed that Diddy didn't just control her life. He used escorts in the most humiliating way possible. One of the darkest claims, Diddy allegedly made escorts pee on her. Yeah, it's that twisted, but it gets even more disturbing.
2 witnesses were called today, including a former security officer at the hotel, where Diddy is seen on video attacking Ventura brutally. You remember that video back in 2016. The prosecutors played the video. The witness testified that Diddy tried to pay him off with a giant wad of cash. The day's second witness was a male escort. This is where it really got very juicy, who says that he was paid by Diddy numerous times to have sex with Cassie while Diddy sat there in the corner, masturbating and watched. He says he once saw Diddy throw a liquor bottle at Cassie and heard him beating her in another room.
The same escort was called in by prosecutors to testify, and they didn't hold back. On top of that, hotel staff are finally cracking, admitting that Diddy straight up paid them to keep their mouths shut. The whole thing sounds like a disgusting underground operation happening in plain sight.
Emily Johnson actually said that Cassie did choke on the urine of an escort when Diddy forced this escort to allegedly urinate in her mouth. They did say inner circle numerous times, I believe, really trying to amplify the RICO charges. Diddy couldn't have done all of these crimes without his inner circle, right? Without his bodyguard, without his driver, without his assistant. They talked about alleged kidnappings. That one time he kidnapped his assistant to go and try to find Cassie when he thought Cassie was cheating. I mean, it was wild. I feel like I could go on forever, but I won't. At a certain point, wasn't able to perform for Diddy and Cassie. He got erectile dysfunction because of what he saw. He said he saw Diddy at one point after an encounter drag Cassie by the hair from her computer seat all the way back to her bedroom while she was kicking and screaming and crying. And after she apologized and came out, he said that Diddy said, okay, you guys want to continue? And he couldn't perform. And that was it. From there, he could not perform after that. And he saw Diddy use Cassie 2 or 3 more times after that as well. And this is a muscular guy. He was 41 years old, a bit smaller, but again, he seemed incredibly affected by what he saw.
And was there, just quickly, Lauren, was there a point where he talked about, because I was trying to follow the blogs, again, it's hard, you were in there, it's difficult for us on the outside. Did he talk about Cassie at one point being under the influence of drugs to the point that she was slumped over, and Diddy still wanted him to have sex with her?
And here's the part that broke everyone. Cassie burst into tears during her statement. Something she said hit hard, and people in the courtroom could barely look her in the eyes.
Cassie told the jury that Diddy forced her into drug-fueled sex acts with male escorts while he watched, sometimes sitting in the corner and masturbating. Through tears, she said she took drugs to numb herself, ecstasy, cocaine, and ketamine, all of it allegedly supplied by Diddy. She said the Freakoffs included as many as 4 male escorts at once and typically lasted 36 to 72 hours. The longest, she said, the longest Freakoff that she says she was forced to perform in lasted 4 days. She said they took place around the world, from New York to Miami to Spain to even Turks and Caicos. And at every stop, Cassie said the hotel rooms were stocked by Diddy's staff with baby oil, condoms, and drugs. And she says that these hotel rooms, this is disgusting, the hotel rooms were left covered in baby oil and covered in blood and covered in urine. Cassie told the jury that the Freakoffs made her feel disgusting and humiliated and worthless. But she said she couldn't say no because she says Diddy threatened to release videos of the Freakoffs with her.
Meanwhile, the escort dropped chilling details about what Diddy expected them to do. Things so disturbing even the escort refused. That says a lot. But this isn't just about Diddy. Prosecutors claim he had a whole team helping him hide the truth. His chief of staff, his bodyguards, they were all allegedly involved in keeping this nightmare under wraps.
Before they broke for lunch, Cassie Ventura described how Freakoffs actually became a job, lasting 36 to 48 hours, the longest one lasting up to 4 days. No wonder the participants needed IV fluids after a Freakoff. I'm just curious, to Lauren Cullen joining us at the courthouse, how was the jury responding?
What I will say is Cassie made a point to say that when she wasn't making music, she was actually having to, quote, recover from these freak-offs. And again, she did say these freak-offs lasted between 1 and 4 days, and it would take her an equal amount of time to get her body recovered, to rehydrate, to rest, to detox from these drugs.
At one point, Diddy even tried to kidnap Cassie when she tried to run. Diddy didn't seem to care at all about Cassie's well-being, and what she revealed in court is beyond disturbing.
That she said on the stand, at one point she said that a male escort had urinated in her mouth and she actually choked on it. And it was at that point someone in the courtroom actually had to walk out of the door there while, Diddy sat at the defense table listening on here. But as she was describing these events where she said that, there were multiple male escorts that were happening at one time, these freak-offs would happen for 2, 3, the longest 4 days at a time. And control is the word we need to talk about. That is what prosecutors really laid out. And you heard Cassie describe how every action during these freak-offs, which were between her and male escorts, not necessarily between her and her boyfriend, Sean Diddy Combs, he sat off to the side really directing things according to her and masturbating along with what he wanted to see. But he was in control, she said, of exactly how they did everything, from the platform shoes that she needed to wear, the clothes that she needed to wear occasionally, masks, wigs, whether or not the male escort could ejaculate, where he could ejaculate. Everything, she said, was controlled by him. And mind you, Brian, his children, 6 children, are in the courtroom at this point listening to all of this. And the jury was picked knowing that they needed a certain level of comfort to hear these types of descriptions. It was very emotional and really tough to hear, Brian.
She said that whenever she refused to join his wild freak-off sessions, he'd allegedly beat her down, drag her across the floor, and straight up punch her. No remorse, no mercy. These so-called freak-offs weren't just one-night things. They allegedly lasted for days. And Cassie, she was so drained she had to be hooked up to IV fluids just to recover. It's insane.
Once he saw Diddy beat Cassie, he could no longer perform and be engaged, because before he said even if they hadn't paid him, he was excited to be part of their world. He was enjoying that kind of activity with them. And then things started changing when he saw one time he was on the couch, Cassie was at her computer, and Diddy, he said, was in Cassie's bedroom. Now, Diddy apparently called out to Cassie to come into the bedroom, and she allegedly told him, just hold on a second, my personal information's on the computer. Now, Daniel describes being absolutely shocked when all of a sudden a liquor bottle, Diddy throws it from across the room right toward Cassie. And then he comes running towards her, grabs her by her hair, drags her into her bedroom and tells her, when I tell you to come, you don't wait, you just come when I tell you. And he says he then heard, after the doors closed, Diddy slapping her, beating her, yelling at her, and Cassie screaming out, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And he says he was just kind of frozen in place. He didn't know what to do. And prosecutors asked him, why didn't you intervene? Why didn't you go inside? And he said, look, I know this is somebody with a lot of resources. Quite frankly, I was afraid for my life. Now that drew a lot of objections from the defense, but the judge allowed that testimony. And he again reiterated that he was scared in that moment for Cassie, feeling like she was in a dangerous situation, but he didn't feel it was safe enough for him to intervene.
Cassie claimed the first time Diddy drugged her, she didn't even know what was going on. He spiked her drink, and only after it was all over did he casually tell her, oh yeah, that was ecstasy. Cassie was just 22 when this all started. 22. That's when Diddy allegedly began forcing her into drug-fueled multi-day freak-offs where she'd be made to have sex with multiple escorts, back-to-back over and over again. She was trapped in a twisted cycle, and Diddy was the one pulling all the strings.
I thought what we saw in that awful video from the Intercontinental was bad, but to hear the actual graphic details of what Cassie and others endured day after day for years is just completely heartbreaking. And to hear the sex worker actually try to offer her aid when, you know, she was being beaten, and literally she went to him for solace, as opposed to the person who supposedly loves and cares about her. She had to jump into the arms of a sex worker, and he was literally like, this is not okay. You need to leave this relationship. And she did, unfortunately, what so many survivors do, which is, I'm okay, it's gonna be okay. Basically, I can handle this. And the reality is she really needed to get out because she was being violated and degraded in so many different ways. And my heart just breaks for her so much.
Melba, you're so right. Ours do as well. What's it going to be like today when she is perhaps called? We think that she's going to be witness number 3. We have a clip where we caught up with her lawyer outside of the courthouse on Monday. Let's take a quick look.
How is Cassie? Is she emotional? Is she like feeling okay with it? Is she nervous?
She's ready.
She is ready. She's also pregnant, God bless her, and visibly pregnant too. So in the later stages of her pregnancy.
Cassie said these twisted freak-offs happened multiple times a month, and she always felt like Diddy was secretly recording everything. He'd just sit there and watch like it was entertainment. And after every one of these sessions, she'd be left physically wrecked. It took her weeks to recover.
First testimony in the trial taking jurors to Los Angeles, March 2016, in the hotel where that surveillance video was taken. The first witness, an LAPD officer who worked security at the hotel, he says he responded to a call for a woman in distress on the 6th floor.
When he got to the floor, he noticed that there was glass on the floor, that the vase and the flowers were broken.
The security guard described going back to Diddy's hotel room and standing in the doorway while Ventura grabbed her things. Inside, another man sitting at the corner of the bed.
So from the very start, the first witness brings the jury into that hallway where he said Sean Combs looked at him with a devilish stare and Cassie Ventura had a purple eye.
Sean Combs tried to offer him money, to give him money to make this go away, and he said he wouldn't accept the money.
The second witness to take the stand, Daniel Phillip, a man who said he was paid to have sex with Cassie on multiple occasions at several high-end New York City hotels, while Diddy watched. The witness said he was paid between $700 and $6,000 each time.
So Mr. Phillip agreed to go to the Gramercy Hotel to do a performance for a bachelorette party. At least that's what he thought. But when he got to the hotel, to the room, that Cassie opened up the door. He did not know that was Cassie, and that she told him, well, it's my birthday and my husband wants to do something special, so can you give me a massage?
What's even wilder, even the escort started getting freaked out. That's how bad it was. One of them, David, the same man Diddy hired, testified that he watched Diddy violently beat Cassie after she couldn't perform. After that, David said he couldn't go through with it anymore. That's when he realized something was seriously wrong.
I think that will ultimately be a difficult thing for the defense to show because of all the evidence the prosecutors in the opening statement said that they had, showing that actually these women really weren't making a choice. You have the video of Cassie where, Sean Combs is beating her, striking her, dragging her out of that hallway video when she was trying to leave one of these Freakoff sessions. That doesn't exactly look like a choice. We also heard from the prosecutors that there are text messages where one of the victims, known as Jane, is saying, I don't want to engage in these Freakoffs. I don't want to do this. And then there are apparently also recorded calls that we are going to hear between Sean Combs and Jane, in which Sean Combs is offering her money and telling her to say that she wanted to engage in these Freakoffs. None of those pieces of corroborating evidence sounds like these women had a choice. So I think that is going to be really critical evidence for the prosecution. And just one last point, even if there is the charges, but there are 2 charges, one for each victim, of transporting these women across state lines for the purposes of prostitution. Those charges do not require force, fraud, or coercion. So consenting adults traveling across state lines for the purpose of prostitution, if he did that, he is guilty. So these arguments about the women had a choice, they're not really a defense to these transportation for prostitution charges. I think those charges in particular will be very difficult for the defense to overcome.
Diddy was reportedly paying these escorts between $4,000 and $6,000 each time just to sleep with Cassie while he watched. But here's the most heartbreaking twist. Cassie was the one who had to call the escort. She was the one who asked him to pee on her. Not because she wanted it, but because she was terrified of what Diddy would do if she didn't.
Cassie in court, reportedly tearing up on the witness stand as she testifies against ex-Diddy in his trafficking trial.
It'll be interesting to see how they react and respond to the alleged victim, Cassie Ventura, because she is expecting her 3rd child and is clearly pregnant. So how jurors will kind of see that or visually how they take that into consideration, we don't know. But really, they're supposed to make sure that they stay fair and impartial and pay attention to the facts, which is something even the judge warned them about before they were official jurors.
Diddy maintains his innocence against all charges brought against him. Cassie, the prosecution's key witness in the case against the embattled mogul.
The defense acknowledged that the videos of alleged freak-offs will be shown, but that those videos, they said, didn't come from the government's investigation so much as it came directly from Cassie's phone. But they were essentially trying to raise doubt about why did she hold on to these videos, and again making this argument that this case is about love and infidelity and money. But the prosecution is saying, no, you will hear from witnesses that will tell you that they were abused, they were kicked, they were punched, they were coerced to taking drugs and to performing sex acts. So this is only the beginning.
Every time she tried to break free, Diddy allegedly hunted her down, sending his employees and bodyguards to keep her locked in. Cassie told the court that Diddy used fear like a weapon. She wasn't just trapped physically, she was psychologically chained. She said he'd constantly threaten her with violence if she didn't follow every order. At times, he'd isolate her completely, take her phone, control her schedule, and cut her off from everyone she trusted.
Indeed, I can tell you that I got a chance to listen to her testimony inside court here behind us, and she was emotional. She broke down into tears at one point when she talked about participating in those freak-offs. She says that she was just 22 years old, had just turned 22 when Combs first proposed to her those drug-fueled sex marathons with escorts. She says eventually, though, they became almost weekly, and that they lasted on average, as you said, about 2 to 3 days, the longest one 4 days, and that she stayed awake by drugs that she says Combs gave to her, including ecstasy, cocaine, and She testified that those freak-offs made her feel dirty and worthless, but that she felt like she did not have a choice but to participate because she says Combs would become violent with her. As you pointed out, she says that he would bash her in the head, kick and drag her, and that she didn't know what would happen if she didn't do what he wanted her to do. She told the jury that she tried to express her feelings about participating, but in at least one text message shown to the jury, Combs told her to make it happen anyway.
One incident that really shook people, Cassie said Diddy once forced her to stay locked in a hotel suite for 3 days straight while different people came and went for his twisted parties. She wasn't allowed to leave, speak up, or even sleep properly. When she tried to resist, she said he slammed her against a wall and told her, "You belong to me." Cassie said he'd gaslight her so hard, she started doubting her own memories. After every episode, he'd act like nothing happened. He'd shower her with expensive gifts and apologies, then the abuse would start all over again.
Cassie Ventura is sharing new details about her relationship with Sean Diddy Combs. While testifying against her ex in his extradition trial, the pregnant singer, who is currently expecting her third child with husband Alex Fine, reveals to the jury that there was actually an overlap for when she and the late Kim Porter dated the rap mogul. In court, Ventura says, per NBC News, that she and Combs first started their physical relationship when they went on a trip to Miami. It was when they returned home that they began spending more time together, though the relationship was, quote, not public for many years. Ventura adds that Combs didn't want it to, quote, look bad, but also knew it was because of his children and personal things like his family. When she was asked who he was with at the time, Ventura replies, quote, Kim Porter. Combs and Porter, who unexpectedly died in 2018, reportedly dated on and off from 1994 to 2007, with them becoming parents to son Christian, twin daughters Delilah and Jessie, and Porter's son Quincy, whom she had from a previous relationship. Their romance ended in 2007, with her choosing to pack up all of her belongings and move out of their home while Combs was out of town. Porter has previously said to Essence magazine that she wanted it to be, quote, dramatic, adding, quote, if I pack up everything, twins and all, it means I'm out. Puffy's an action person, not a talk person. Ventura and Combs reportedly dated from 2007 to 2018, with her sharing after their romance that he was frequently violent towards the end of their relationship.
She also claimed Diddy used blackmail to keep her quiet. He had recordings, messages, and photos, and he made it clear if she ever spoke out, he'd ruin her life completely. This wasn't just toxic, it was a full-blown manipulation machine, and Cassie was trapped in it for years. Things got even more intense in court when text messages between Diddy and Cassie were shown to the judge, and they clearly proved that Diddy was forcing Cassie to take part in those disturbing freak-offs. The receipts are right there. No way to spin it.
The first witness to testify was Officer Israel Flores. He was the security officer back in 2016 when we saw that now infamous recording of Sean Combs allegedly beating Cassie Ventura in that hotel hallway. We heard from him. We watched the video in its entirety from multiple angles in order to see exactly what unfolded. And as we watch this video, I want to say, by the way, everything we're about to talk about during this live shot could be perceived as disturbing materials. Just want to give our viewers a little bit of a warning here. Watching Sean Combs kick and drag and grab Cassie Ventura by her neck and by her hair over and over again. And then at one point, Cassie walks over to a phone that's in this lobby, lobby area of their 6th floor hotel room, and she calls for this instant services, and a security guard comes up, and at that point he's able to separate them, and he walks them down the hallway towards the hotel room where they were. Cassie apparently telling the security officer that she just wants to leave, and Sean Combs reportedly telling her that she's not going to leave. And when they opened the door to that hotel room, there was another man, according to this officer, sitting in the hotel room.
One of today's key witnesses was a female escort Diddy had hired during that time. But here's where it gets shady. After the case went public, Diddy personally reached out to her trying to buy her silence. He offered her money to say she had never been forced into anything, but guess what? She was one step ahead. She recorded the call. While she testified, Cassie broke down in tears. She told the court that Diddy wasn't just abusing her, he was pimping her out to other men. And when she'd get exhausted after 2 or 3 days straight of these freak-off marathons, Diddy would drug her up with cocaine and Molly to keep her going. She didn't even have a chance to rest. If she resisted, he'd snap, violent, angry, unpredictable.
An LAPD officer, a former security guard who can lay the foundation for that video and can talk about the black eye that Cassie suffered and the fact that she wanted to leave and escape this freak-off. And Combs reportedly offering him a bribe to cover it up. So I think it's a very important first witness to get that video in. In addition to the violence against Cassie, Combs broke a vase over in the hotel, so that's something that also shows the sort of violent streak, really erratic behavior, him sitting in a towel with just his socks on. So really disturbing and also graphic details by Flores, the first government.
Cassie also revealed something else that left people shocked. Diddy was cheating on her while still dating Kim Porter. And don't forget, Cassie was just 19 years old when all this began. And Diddy, he was nearly 40. As the courtroom kept digging deeper, more dark truths started spilling out. Diddy wasn't just keeping Cassie under control, he was tracking her every move. According to new testimony, Diddy allegedly had people following Cassie anytime she left the house. He even went as far as planting hidden surveillance devices in places she stayed, just to keep tabs on her conversations and movements.
I think we're going to learn a lot about the nature of Cassie's relationship with Diddy. Some of those details we've seen in prior lawsuits, but to hear her on the stand actually giving those details, reliving those moments herself. Also, you have to remember, she's very pregnant right now. So I'm gonna be curious to see how long she makes it on the stand, how she's emotionally able to weather all of these questions. And what's going to be interesting to watch is, you know, the defense from the very start in their opening statement said that she chose to be there. So I'm going to be curious to see how she responds to questions about, was this her choice or did she feel like she had to do all of these things?
One former bodyguard testified that Diddy would flip out if Cassie didn't answer her phone right away. He acted like he owned her, the bodyguard said. He'd scream, break stuff, and send people to find her like she was some missing property. And Cassie also revealed she tried to escape more than once. She ran off to a friend's place in secret, but somehow Diddy always found her. Why? Because he had insiders. People close to her who were reporting back to him. It was a full-blown control system, and Cassie felt like there was no way out.
Second thing that was discussed this morning, will the media be able to see video of these freak-offs? During opening statements, we heard that the jurors are going to be able to see video of these freak-offs. These are these sexual encounters between, for instance, Cassie Ventura, as well as another woman, Jane, and male escorts, as well as Sean Diddy Combs. But there's an argument that only the jurors will be able to see these. So we'll have to see what happens. The judge is taking that under advisement. Right now, what's taking place is the continuation of the cross-examination of a man by the name of Daniel Phillip. Julie, he is the male stripper that was hired by, he said, Cassie to engage in sexual acts.
Even when she wasn't around him, she said she could feel him watching. The fear never left. Diddy's reach wasn't just physical, it was psychological. It was like he wanted her scared all the time, just so she'd never even think about leaving again. More bombshells dropped when hotel security guards from back in 2016 were brought in to testify. One of them revealed that he saw Diddy beating Cassie with his own eyes. And when it was over, Diddy allegedly offered him cash to keep his mouth shut. The guard also said Diddy forced Cassie to stay with him even when she was clearly trying to get away.
Well, Diane, prosecutors have wasted no time getting right into the alleged abuse that Cassie Ventura says she endured for years. Ventura telling jurors, quote, he would bash my head, knock me over, drag me, kick me, stomp me in the head when I was down. She also got into the nature of those so-called freak-offs, saying that they involved hiring an escort and they performed under the direction of Combs, saying that they happened so frequently it eventually became a job for her to set them up. Ventura said she did not feel she had much of a choice but to participate, that she feared that Combs would retaliate or potentially blackmail her if she did not. And she's had at times to she's taken deep breaths, pausing her testimony, Combs appearing to be listening pretty passively with his hands in his lap at the defense table there. Now, remember, this is the first time that they are seeing each other face to face since 2018. You can imagine that emotions are very high in the courtroom right now. And this is expected to be a very lengthy testimony. Prosecutors bracing the courtroom for what's to come as she continues to testify, including videos.
But the most disturbing part? That same night, Cassie was desperately trying to escape from a man who was in the room with them. Instead of helping her, Diddy allegedly forced her to sleep with that man. She was trapped, cornered, and powerless, and there were witnesses. Now Cassie is just days away from giving birth, yet she still walked into that courtroom and told her truth. That shows a whole new level of strength and courage. She's done being silent, and she's not backing down. As for the most graphic evidence, Judge Aaron Subramanian made a ruling, the video footage from one of Diddy's so-called freak-offs, where victims, including Cassie, were forced into sex acts, will not be released to the public or media. The judge made it crystal clear. Those disturbing videos showing alleged abuse won't be played in open court. I'm not seeing any case that would suggest these types of images or videos, especially ones tied to sexual abuse, need to be shown publicly when they clearly risk re-traumatizing the victims, he stated firmly.
Cassie Ventura just named Christina Courtroom as keeping tabs on her for Diddy. Cassie Ventura is giving her testimony against Diddy right now in his trial, and she just name-dropped Diddy's ex-chief of staff, Christina Courtroom. Cassie Ventura started her testimony about her early relationship with Diddy, and she even admitted at the very beginning she took E without knowing because it was in a Gatorade bottle. Then she went on to describe the abuse that would start happening to her and how Diddy would keep tabs on her. The government asked Cassie Ventura, how did Diddy keep tabs on you? And she said, we didn't live far apart. He'd send security to come find me or a trusted assistant. Like who? David James or Christina Courtroom. And we know that Diddy's ex-chief of staff, Christina Courtroom, has been named in multiple civil lawsuits with Diddy. So the fact that Cassie Ventura just listed her literally sent chills all the way up my spine. Because back in 2018 and prior, during Cassie and Diddy's relationship, I didn't even know if Christina Courtroom at this time would have any part in any of this. Cassie Ventura points out at this time, Christina Courtroom was only an assistant for Diddy. She wasn't even Diddy's chief of staff during this time. And I already know that this will not be the last that we hear about Christina Courtroom. I just didn't know it was happening this early on. Diddy's ex-assistant, Philip Pines, who was on the fall for Diddy, admitted that he testified to the grand jury against Diddy, and he showed us so many pieces of evidence in his documentary interview. He showed text messages between him and Christina Courtroom of Christina Courtroom asking for all of these different Freakoff supplies.
But Diddy's control didn't stop at just surveillance or intimidation. He had a whole crew helping him keep Cassie in check. She told the court that Diddy's close employees were fully aware of what was going on. People like his personal assistant Christina Courtroom and his right-hand man Neil Dominic weren't just handling his schedule. They allegedly monitored his moods, movements, and even Cassie's behavior. Cassie testified, I talked to Courtroom about a lot. She knew a lot of my personal things. That line hit hard because it showed Courtroom wasn't just an assistant. She was someone Cassie confided in, someone who knew exactly what was going on behind closed doors. And yet, Cassie claims those same people stayed silent, loyal to Diddy, covering his tracks. One of the most disturbing moments in court came when Cassie described how Diddy's team would prepare her before the Freakoffs, almost like she was being handed over. She said Christina Courtroom and other staff would often give her instructions on how to behave, what to wear, and even what substances to take. It felt more like a setup than a job. She wasn't being helped. She was being managed.
Diddy Combs' trial backing out? Victim number 3, as she's called, was set to testify against the music mogul. The name of victim number 3 was going to be revealed when she took the stand, but the woman has apparently gone missing, and prosecutors say they've been unable to reach her.
People just get nervous, and this person could just be nervous and just has had second thoughts.
If the prosecutor can't find this witness, how might it affect the case?
Look, I don't think it's going to have a tremendous effect. The prosecution is going to call a number of alleged victims. So look, this is just one less.
Someone else is also getting cold feet. A juror sent an email to the judge asking to be removed from the panel for issues of personal well-being.
Cassie revealed she often felt drugged before anything even started. Sometimes she'd wake up not remembering parts of the night, only to be told later by staff what happened, or worse, shown videos that Diddy allegedly kept as leverage. And the manipulation didn't stop there. Diddy would allegedly threaten to send those videos to her family or leak them if she ever tried to leave. Cassie said that one time he looked her dead in the eye and said, I made you and I can destroy you. Courtroom sources say several jurors looked visibly shaken. Some couldn't even maintain eye contact with Cassie as she spoke. This isn't just a case of power abuse. It's looking more and more like Diddy built a full-blown empire of fear, lies, and silence, with Cassie trapped at the center of it all. Cassie didn't hold back. She revealed that Diddy's security guard, R. Rock, was another one of his enforcers. On Diddy's orders, Rock would punish her by taking away her things. I'd get my car taken away, get kicked out of an apartment, have my jewelry snatched. It all depended on Diddy's mood, Cassie said. And when she tried to hide from Diddy, Rock would be the one sent to hunt her down. This wasn't just a toxic relationship, it was a full-blown operation. Every move Cassie made was watched, controlled, or punished. And even now, with this case exploding across headlines, Diddy hasn't stopped his shady behavior. Sources say some key witnesses have suddenly gone silent or just disappeared. People are starting to wonder how many others were involved and how far was Diddy willing to go to cover his tracks. As more victims step forward and the testimonies grow darker, one thing is clear. This goes way deeper than anyone thought. We'll be keeping a close eye on this case as it unfolds, so don't miss a single update. Like, subscribe, drop your thoughts in the comments, and hit that bell so you never miss the tea. This isn't just about Diddy anymore. This is about exposing every last person who helped him hide it. See you in the next one.